Is is that really what it looks like? Can we get some more contrast on that?
That's better.
Today we're going to be talking about Moore's Volta. No, not the Mars Volta. Moore's Volta is the second album by Brazilian-based power prog metal band Jack the Joker. They play a heavier, more aggressive style of power prog metal, similar to bands like Symphony X or Seventh Wonder or Pathos Ray, with a mix of hardcore and groove metal and a bit of jazz as well. This album is full of great melodies and slick, catchy choruses, especially on songs like the opener Volta Face, songs like Brutal Behavior, and Lady of Dunes. The best vocal performances are found on songs like V and Venus and Mars, the closing track. However, Brutal Behavior has this really weird spoken part in the middle of it that doesn't really appear anywhere else on the album. The drums do a good job of keeping pace here, even on the crazier, more progressive tracks, and sometimes they open off songs with these awesome drum fills, like on Volta Face and on V. The guitars here are consistently smooth and melodic, and they complement the bass a lot whenever it gets into more groovy passages. There's lots of room for the bass to shine on this album, particularly on songs like Volta Face, Venus and Mars, and all over the song Sucks. The intro of Sucks, the chorus, and the chorus bridge all have really astounding bass parts, and the first part of the solo on this song has this incredible virtuoso bass sound. There are also chuggy guitar riffs all over the album with lots of influence from groove metal, especially on Sucks, which has a very chuggy chorus, and this really crushing breakdown at the end of the song. It's also featured on songs like Brutal Behavior and Brad Pitt. V, which is probably the most groove-influenced song on the album, is almost similar to Meshuggah, except with a less abrasive and clinical sound. There are lots of cool jazz moments on the album as well. Brutal Behavior has this really bouncy chorus, similar to what Diablo Swing Orchestra did on their song Exit Strategy from a Wrecking Ball. There's a really fun swing section about two-thirds of the way through the song Venus and Mars, and there are places where the bassist uses really smooth guitar tone, similar to what Jaco Pastorius perfected on songs like Sucks and Venus and Mars. One thing that really sticks out to me about this album are some of the hilarious song names on here. Like there's a song called Be Less, there's a Sucks, which is ironically enough one of the best songs on the album, and my favorite, Brad Pitt. What better way to honor our dear friend Brad Pitt than with some sprawling, epic power metal? And I would be remiss if I didn't talk in detail about the closing track Venus and Mars. This song is a really diverse, sprawling epic that Jack the Joker wrote, and it clocks in at just under 25 minutes. It starts off with this really gorgeous orchestral part that sort of ties in with the power prog that was played earlier on the album and introduces some quiet acoustic parts with some of the best vocals on the album. Then about 17 minutes in, it gets to this really fun swing metal part for a few minutes. Then around the 20-minute mark, it introduces this closing passage that brings back the sort of ideas that were introduced in the very first part of the song. This album features some really tight songwriting with a lot of ideas packed into every song. Most of the songs hover around 4 to 7 minutes in length, aside from the closing track Venus and Mars. On top of that, the production is great. It's relatively easy to listen through despite its exceedingly long playtime. It comes on a little over 70 minutes. But it doesn't get exhausting as opposed to albums like DGM's The Passage from 2016 or Symphony X's New Mythology Suite. While Jack the Joker has moments of really differentiating themselves and creating their own little niche in power prog metal, there are a lot of overwhelming feelings of this being sort of like a greatest hits record of prog metal, which can be pretty frustrating to listen to. The intro track sounds a lot like the intro track from Pathos Ray's Sunless Skies, and the second verse is really reminiscent of Seventh Wonder, something that they would have written on their 2010 album, The Great Escape. Lady of Dunes is really reminiscent of Hawken, and a bunch of songs like Black Karma Rider, Be Less, and there are even parts of Venus and Mars that sound an awful lot like Symphony X. Hopefully on their next album they'll explore the unique ideas that they presented on here a little more, and carve a niche for themselves inside the genre. Because it's very clear that they have a lot of passion for what they do, and they definitely have the songwriting and technical skills to really become an eminent member of the power prog community. If you're not a fan of prog metal and you're not a fan of power metal, then you're probably not going to get much from this. However, if you are a fan of these genres, you should absolutely give it a listen. So what do you think of this album? Have you listened to it yet? I would love to hear what you guys think about this album, because it's a pretty sweet album that I feel like was pretty overlooked in 2016. So if you liked what you hear, or you didn't really care for it much, or whatever, you should leave a comment below and tell me what you think. All right, thanks for listening, guys. That's it for this one. I'll see you next time.